Welcome back, everybody. I have hopefully taken care of the MS180. You can tell that it has been getting a lot of fuel and oil because it's kind of like pulling out of the cylinder here. All right, but I did get the intake boot back on. I did do a very thin film of RTV to help seal it. And my little clamp here is just a hair too small for this. And, you know, these are just junk to begin with. So I've done this multiple times. Put these boots on with a wire tie, and they work fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It works just great. I have cleaned up the sole a bit. It ain't perfect, but it's a lot better than what it was. You brought it to me. So we're going to slide this cylinder back in and get this intake boot pulled through. And we will be on our way to get this thing back up and running. There we go. We're getting there. All right, as you can see, our intake boot's starting to try to poke through. So just grab a hold of that and start working it through. There we go. We're getting there. I appreciate everybody watching the channel. I appreciate all the comments that everybody's been leaving. And it's been a blast. And hopefully everybody will continue to watch the channel and share their comments with me so we can communicate back and forth and take a listen to each other's opinions and each other's ideas and work off of them. So keep watching. Please keep subscribing. And please keep sending comments. Excuse me. All right, we got that in there. We got the boot pulled through. You just take a little small pair of pliers and maybe a screwdriver like you saw me do, and you kind of poke in there and wiggle it through. You take your pliers and you work it around, and it'll come right through. And that intake boot's a lot tougher than you think. You can pull and poke on that a lot more than you think you can. All right, we'll take one more look at our boot back here to make sure nothing happened to it while we were trying to pull it through, and everything still seems like it's in its place, so that should be fine. And what I did there should take and seal this thing up and eliminate our air leak that we had. All right, so we got the cylinder in. We've got it anchored down, anchored in. We're gonna come over here to the clutch side, and we're gonna drop in our oil pump drive. Make sure it locks in with the oil pump. If you notice, it's got that little hook there on it. Keep that in mind because you're going to need to know where that's at. So line it up where you'll remember where it's at. And in this case, I'm pointing it straight down to the bottom of the case. Put your little spacer on there. Take a look at it. It says top. So that's where you want it. Okay, then we can clutch on. And when you put this on, you want the side of the nut that sticks out the most. See how it sticks out quite a bit there and don't stick out at all here? That's the side you want up. Comes a helicopter. So here's our socket. We'll give this a couple taps of the impact. All right. Once we get this thing running, we'll finalize that. All right, so keep in mind on where your little oil pump drive arm is, because that arm has to line up with that notch right there in the drum. Okay, got to line that little notch up. That notch there also lines up with that mark on the top of it. Make sure your brake is open too. If it's closed up, you'll never get that drum on there. Drop your bearing in. While we got the bearing out, we're going to give it a little grease. Don't put it back dry. You got it right here, might as well throw some grease on it. Right? Squish it in there. It's good. Put your little washer on top of that. So our clutch assembly is all back together. Give it a test. Yep, locked right into place. We're good to go there. We'll come back around here and we're going to finish some of this stuff up here. So we got this little, remember this little plastic piece that came out of the intake boot? Yeah, make sure you put that back. Remember I told you don't lose it? Set that in there and set it in there properly. And I want to show you something. When this was put in from the factory, it wasn't put in right. I don't know if you guys can see it, but you can see a mark over here on this side here because it wasn't seated into its position. And then make sure it's in the spot that it belongs to be in. You got these little channels over here for the wire. Make sure it goes back in one of those channels because that'll help prevent it from getting pinched into something and getting broke. All right. And then all three of those wires, I do believe, get coupled into this piece here. There. Well, let's do it like this. I think I got a crisscross here. There we go, that looks better. Alright, drop your smaller wires in first, and then you can drop your coil wire on top of all of that. Just kind of stick it up there for now, just so you can see if you got enough there. So, yep, it's going to reach. So we're good. We're good there. Kind of tuck this out of the way for a second. Now we should be able to get our carb. Let's go ahead and wiggle and finagle this piece into place. There's that one. That one went a little too far. Take your little plugs and shove them down in that rubber, and that secures everything for you. I think there should be one more. Yep. There we go. Let me shove the last one in. All right. There's that. All right. The compressor's done hollering at me, so. All right. I did get the air box and cleaned out good, and the air filter reinstalled. I put a new O-ring on here because it didn't feel like it fit very well. And I'm going to get this installed. So let's get our, there's our socket, 1/4 inch doodad. Oh, there's my other 1/4 inch doodad right there. There's one. There's two. So we are, for the most part, we are done on this side. Let's go ahead and flip it over. Let's take care of the exhaust side. Now the only muffler mod we did to this, it's really not a mod, but is we did open up the louvers substantially. So it should breathe a little better. We should have to, well, we're going to do some tuning anyway because of the air leak that we had. But if you remember and look back in the video before this, you will remember that these were almost closed shut, and that's how they come from the factory. But what I've done with mine is that I went ahead and I opened up the case by grinding this lip here. Open it up, pulled the baffle out that's on the inside, and this baffle's not that terrible. There's a huge hole in the bottom and a huge hole at the top. That's not terrible, but you can still get it out of your way. And then I just basically went around this whole inside perimeter and got rid of all those holes. And just opened it right up like that. And then you can fish your muffler right onto it. And there you go. Set your screen on if you choose to put it back on. And then set your louvers back on. And there we go. Starting to look like a saw again. It ought to breathe better. Not as good as it could though. Throw that old O-ring away. We know the one that's on there works. You know, doing this kind of stuff here, modifying the mufflers and things like that, it is no different than you putting an exhaust system on your car. No different whatsoever. Except this is extremely cheap to do, for the most part free. And when you go to put an exhaust system on your car, it can be anywhere from $500 to probably up to $2,000, depending on what you have and what it needs. The brand and stuff like that. So yeah, I work on a chainsaw any day. Cheaper to work on. All right, now we can put our starter cover on. Guys, I guess I should take that off there, huh? That might help out, wouldn't it? Excuse me. All right. Let's go ahead and check the gap on our spark plug. See what that looks like. It's a little tight, in my opinion. Most of your small stuff like this, two-stroke stuff, calls for 25 thousandths, and that's what this is. I've had great luck at 30 thousandths. That's what I run all my stuff at. Gaps need to be close. They don't need to be spot on. When you do the ones for your car, it says anywhere from, and it's just an example, but to give you a spread, they might say you need to adjust your gap your plugs for anywhere from 40 thousandths to 45 thousandths. So as long as you're within that range, you're good. And I bet if you go a little tighter, it won't hurt a thing. You go a little wider, it's probably not enough for you to notice, most likely. I'm not saying close it right up, and I'm not saying open it all the way up, but you know, a thousandths in either direction, you'll probably never know the difference. Okay, so we have that in there now. Let's give her a little snug. Let's go ahead and put our spark plug wire on. Make sure it's seated properly. Everything looks nice and clean in there. Let's go ahead and put our top cover on. Be done with that. There we go. I believe. Quite feel right. All right. I believe we got her now. Sometimes you gotta get that spark plug, boot and wire just in the right spot. Alright, so the owner did not want me to do anything with the bar and chain. I kind of wish he did, because the bar is in bad shape. He actually needs a new bar, because remember from the last video we seen that the sprocket is no good, and we can sit there and pull it in and out, if you guys can see that or not. So these bearings in here are no good. Tiny bit of life left back in it, but you got a lot of peel on your rails that needs to be addressed. Got some heavy peel back here. You can tell this bar probably wasn't flipped very often. And then when you run your eye down it, your rails ever so slightly, instead of them being like that, they're ever so slightly like this, where they're starting to wear. They need to be filed so that they're, you know, like so, and parallel with each other, not offset. So this needs a little bit of that also. But you can only do what the customer wants. The only thing that I did do that he didn't ask for is I did open these louvers up for him. So I think that's a necessity, not just a like the bar. You can run this bar. You can run the saw with that muffler being choked up like that, but you got to detune it to do it. So, which way? Wrong way. There we go. Make sure your chain is on the right way. Make sure it's seated on the sprocket properly. Make sure it's in the bar properly and on the tip properly. Go ahead and set that on there like so. Go ahead and put your bar nuts on. And I just got the chain to pull up to the bottom of the bar. You guys see that? Yeah. Maybe I'll bring you around to the side here. Maybe I'll scoot you down a little bit. Tilt you up a little bit. Get you in a little closer. There, bear. How about that? Is that good? All right, see all that slack down in there? See my hand behind it? Yep. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna bring that chain up until it touches the bar. There it is, starting to come up now. Right there, starting to touch. And then we're gonna tip the nose down and then lift up on it. And you see I got more slack now. All right, I'm lifting up on the back of the handle here. See? I'm lifting it up. I'm not lifting it off the table or nothing, but I got the lifting it up enough to touch the nose to the table and take the slot, because all your bars, none of your bars, see, they all got play in them. They all do. All brands, all models have play in them, right? And you see what happens when I do that? Once I lift that up, all that slack in there, now you gotta get that out. And you can do it the way I'm doing it right now. Take your hand and lift up on it, okay? You can do it that way. You can do it however way you want it. But I choose to do it this way. And that's lift up on the handle, and then nose up on it, and there you go. And I got all that slack there again. Let's get that out. So we'll go ahead and we'll snug that up until it comes up and touches that bar again. See, I got all that slack out now. Come over here and we'll tighten up our bar nuts. Right, let me back you up a little bit there. Getting a little too close there. All right, there we go. Test it out, see how it feels. Yeah, feels great. Now, if you over tighten these, it robs power from the saw, because now the saw has to work more to get that chain to do the same thing. So, if it's taking power from it, it takes more fuel and air to make that saw do the same thing. So now you're burning more fuel. And then 2 or 3, you're putting excessive wear on your sprocket back here, excessive wear on your sprocket up here, and excessive wear and stretch on your chain. So look, it's not that much, right? A brand new chain, you're going to do the same thing I just did. You're going to run it for a couple minutes and get that chain on there, and it will loosen up very quickly, because you got to get that initial stretch out of it. And then you're going to repeat the process again, and you should be good for a little while. All right, so we've got this one done. We are ready to fuel this thing up and give it a test run. All right, I got you over there like that. All right. Make sure I got a screwdriver. Go ahead and a couple things we got to look for. Make sure that it's oiling now, and it should be. And make sure we can get this thing tuned in. Brand new can of mix. And I mix my stuff 50 to 1, and I put it in everything I got. About 3/4 right there. That's good enough. We'll squeeze some Earl in there. About 3/4 of the way there. Close everything up. Just give it an extra little squeak with the scrunch. You don't need to kill them. If they're leaking, you got a problem with your seal. So trying to kill it tight isn't going to help you none. All right. Set our brake. Set our choke. Let's see what we got. How you like that? One pull. Definitely needs tuning. And there's probably still a lot of fuel in the bottom of that crankcase, which is probably gone now. a good throttle response. It's not bogging anymore. I've got it tuned so that the chain is not running excessively. We got to snug that up again. And I got a feeling like it's still smoking quite a bit. Well, that's most likely the all the fuel that's still in the exhaust. Had to get that burned out. And I would say we probably got most of it burnt out of the crankcase by now. But and I don't know what his mixture was, but my mixture's 50-1, so it should clear up soon. We're going to do some test cuts with this. I might have to run a hand file across it. We'll see. I don't want to do no more than I have to, because he doesn't want me to, and that's fine. Let's see what his rakers look like. Oh yeah. His rakers are fine. Alright guys, that's it for tonight. Maybe tomorrow when I get home, I will run this in the wood. I'll bring you guys back for that. I'm not even sure if I got a piece of wood to run it in. I'll have to check. Alright guys, hopefully this was some helpful information for you. Hopefully you enjoyed the content. If so, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, send me some comments, let me know what you think, be kind, and help people when you can.